we are staying with this story to get more analysis. We can welcome to our programme İlhan Uzgel, who is the Deputy Chairman of the Turkish CHP. Now, this is the party of the man in question. Mr. Uzgel, thank you very much for being with us. Can you give us your assessment as to why Ekrem Imamoglu has been arrested?
He's not arrested yet, but he's only a detainee. And we are deeply concerned that he can be arrested too, because many CHP opposition party mayors have been first detained and then arrested after 4 days of interrogation. So we are worried about his fate in custody. Well, that's a major attack against Turkish opposition and in general against Turkish democracy. Not only Mr. Imamoglu, who is the chief rival for Mr. Erdogan, who is really frightened because he has all public opinion polls show that he's leading ahead of Mr. Erdogan, and the moment he's realized that he could not win him in a free and fair election, so he tried to eliminate his main opponent. But in general, especially for the last couple of months, what we have been going through is the heavy crackdown on the opposition at every level: businessmen, workers' unions, ordinary people on the street, criticizing the government, a leader of a nationalist party. I mean, hundreds of people have been detained every other day. Turkish people are waking up to a storm of detainees. So that is a part of a general democratic backsliding in Turkey. But Mr. Imamoglu has been specially targeted along with other 107 individuals, including some mayors, district mayors in Istanbul. That's a serious violation of human rights, but the government does not care about it.
It sounds like what you're saying is that there is a real, as you say, I think the word you used was backsliding. It's a particularly opposite word. I think it's a real regression on the issue of human rights in Turkey.
Yes, the democracy is declining. That's part of an authoritarian trajectory in Turkey, that the government controls the whole judiciary. There's no separation of powers in Turkey anymore, that a special appointee, a prosecutor appointed by Erdogan, a certain prosecutor is carrying all the judicial processes in Istanbul against the opposition forces. So we are really moving from a competitive authoritarianism to an uncompetitive authoritarianism, whereas Mr. Erdogan does not want to see any political opponent anymore.
Involvement with the PKK, now obviously that's the Kurdistan Workers' Party, listed as a terror group, not just by Turkey, but by others. Things are changing, of course, with their leader Öcalan saying that it should be dissolved and members should put down their arms. That's another issue. But this accusation that Imamoglu is connected with the PKK in some way, shape or form, is there anything in that? Nothing
in that. You know, it's the standard procedure by the government. When they want to, detain an opponent, it's either corruption charges or any link with fabricated links with the terrorist organization, which sounds really serious. Well, I mean, how can a mayor link with a PKK terrorist organization that was designated as a terrorist organization by the state? There's no reason for Mr. Imamoglu to have some kind of a link. There's no logic behind this accusation. By the way, the government itself is currently holding negotiations with the leader of the PKK, which itself designated as terrorist organization. That's a huge contradiction on the part of the government. So these allegations are groundless. They have no legal basis. The only thing is that that's politically motivated, and they want to eliminate Mr. Imamoglu as a political rival. That's the core of the issue.
Will you, as a party, still elect him as your candidate to go forward to the presidentials? Is that still a possibility?
Yes, of course. We're determined to hold the primaries on Sunday. And it's definitely no coincidence that just a couple of days before the primaries that they detained him. I mean, they tried to target the Istanbul municipality, which is a stronghold of the opposition party. Istanbul is a city of 15 million. So they want to destroy the services that had been provided by Mr. Imamoglu and by the municipality, and they want to prevent him running against Erdogan. That's the problem. On 23rd of March, on Sunday, we urged and encouraged all our members to vote, to cast their votes for the nomination of Mr. Imamoglu, and we're going to do it.
In terms of what happens to democracy, to human rights in Turkey, clearly you have fears about how things are. Should Erdogan's rule continue? Should the rule of his party continue?
Yes, we're going to resist all these crackdowns by the Erdogan's regime, which defies any basic human rights and rule of law. But we are here. CHP is the oldest party in Turkey, which is a history of more than one century, and which has emerged as the biggest party, first party in the last local elections, with a margin of 7%. First time in two decades, Erdogan himself was defeated in an election. So he's got very angry, and he's trying to get his revenge on the opposition. So we're going to resist that. We're not going to give it up.
One thing that might embarrass the president is if there are voices from abroad who are questioning why this is happening. Now, you're talking to a French-based international news channel now, but are you concerned that maybe there is very little criticism coming out from other governments across the world about what is happening in Turkey?
Well, indeed, we're quite concerned about the reaction of the international community. For some time, to be frank, since 2016, Erdogan made a deal with the EU regarding the Syrian refugees, that Turkey is going to hold them in Turkey in return for some, international assistance. And in return, they basically don't criticize Erdogan as it used to be. So they tolerate Erdogan. This is my criticism for my European counterparts or the European governments. I know that there are lots of people that support democracy in Turkey, like European Parliament, but in general, considering Turkey as a strategic ally that takes Turkey as a refugee warehouse, which helped declining of the quality of democracy in Turkey.
When people hear that President Erdogan was key in trying to get a peace process going regarding Ukraine and Russia, when you consider Turkey is a member of NATO and an important member of NATO too, is all that in a sense hiding what is happening at home, hiding the problems that you've got? Is that one of your issues too?
Oh yeah, but I mean, Erdogan is trying to play a bigger role internationally, but he cannot. I mean, he's not reliable. He's not predictable. So I mean, in the Ukrainian crisis, I mean, Turkey is not the interlocutor. Turkey tries to have a mediator role, but he cannot get this role because probably neither of the sides they have a trust in Erdogan. So Turkey is basically excluded from the peace processes regarding the Ukraine crisis.
İlhan Uzgel, Deputy Chairman of the Turkish CHP, thank you very much for sharing your analysis with us of the situation. I remind people, Ekrem Imamoglu, one of your colleagues, in custody, not under arrest, in custody, facing possible charges, accusations at least, of corruption and aiding a terror group, i.e., the clear example is the PKK, which is the Kurdistan Workers' Party. And this being done, you're saying, because he is a threat politically to the current president of Turkey, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. İlhan Uzgel, thank you very much for joining us here on France 24. We will be following this story very closely indeed, and we thank you for your time. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
You're very welcome.